Hey guys, and welcome back to the Path to Exile Podcast, episode 26, partner with Mobalytics. I am Kyle Torek, and joining me per usual is Miso Shiro and Dead Rabbit. And if you're new here, we have our audio-only formats on Apple Music and Spotify. So if you don't want to look at us, check us out over there. This week we have a super special guest. We have one of the goats of ARPGs. It is Rax. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. You have become like a staple for me in ARPGs. I cannot tell you, and I'm sure you get this all the time, but your recaps of interviews, like every time there's a dev interview for any ARPG, like your like day of, I always load up your channel. Like, where's the Rax recap? Where's the Rax recap? It's always just, it's awesome, man. Everything you do for ARPGs is great.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I still don't know why I get credit for just repeating what was already said. I think anyone in the world could do that, but hey, I guess I'll take it.
Hey, you're providing a very valuable service for the people who don't watch the entire thing, the TLDR. That's a very valuable service. And for me, I've watched all your a bunch of your stuff before, especially with like the D4 coverage and everything like that. But it was just man, that viral picture of you that went around of you reacting to D4. That was it was peak.
Well, man, dude, if I ever have a bad day, I know which podcast I'm going to jump on. You guys are making me feel good. But yeah, D4 isn't exactly what we all hoped it would be. There's been a lot of memes along the way, but the other ARPGs have been doing well. So yeah, we just press forward, I guess.
Yeah, as long as
D4
you have
always
ARPGs
holds
to
a
play.
special place for me because like my first time ever making ARPG content was D4. I made D4 PvP videos, funny enough, so it'll always be a little bit sweet.
Hell yeah.
D4 PvP.
Yeah, I did D4 Thorns PvP video. If you look at my YouTube channel and go to
What?
the oldest video on it, I did D4 Thorns PvP videos. It was funny to run around in the PvP zones and just watch people one-shot themselves hitting you, which is funny. You know, we have these little events going on where like DM's doing his boss kill events, and you have a farmer who does them too. And I like people tell me in PoE1 there's a hideout that lets you PvP inside your hideout, and I have a dream one day of doing like a Thorns boss kill challenge where you have to somehow kill my Thorns character without dying to the instant reflex. One day.
That is a string of words that I would have never expected to hear any time in my life. If that is like a trigger sentence to trigger like a Manchurian candidate or something, that would be it. Thorns D4 PvP. Okay. I've actually not even I didn't even buy D4 actually because I knew this would happen. I think all this like D4 bad, whatever. Yeah, it's kind of a meme at this point. It's like easy points for a lot of people. I personally, I don't know. I've personally never played it. It looks like it's not for me. I've been preoccupied with Diablo 2 and Path of Exile 1 at that time. It didn't really look for me, but I've actually never even, as someone who like is madly in love with any ARPG, I didn't even buy D4. So it's kind of crazy. I haven't even played it, haven't even tested it on the free weekends. I actually kind of just want to give it a try once, just to do it myself and not rely on anyone else's opinions. But
I mean,
yeah,
I think there's a lot to like about D4, to be honest, especially if it's your first time. It's just that when you play it over and over and over and over again, the end game kind of starts getting lackluster. I'm sure Rax probably has a lot more to talk about that topic, though.
I would have said exactly what you just said. If you've never played the game and you actually can, get rid of all that noise and just play it for the first time, I bet you'll have a blast. And I'll bet you'll be like, I really don't know what people are talking about. This is a lot of fun. The problem is exactly as he said again, it's been the progression of it getting better and better has been kind of at a snail's pace, especially in the end game. So like the first time you run through it and you fight Duriel and all those people and you get your mythic uniques and you grind to 300 Paragon, I bet it will be a lot of fun. It's got amazing graphics. It's got amazing like gameplay. It's very punchy. All the spells feel very impactful. The Nightmare Dungeons, the Helltide will be fun for a while. I think you'll love it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely for the first time. You should give it a try. And I think they change it to where if you like buy the most recent expansion, you get the previous one, so it's like not as cumbersome to get into now. So Yeah, but yeah, for those that don't know, if this is your first time watching our podcast, if you you're a Rax viewer here, we are a build making podcast. One of the reasons we wanted to start this podcast was to encourage others to get into build making. It's a very pleasurable part of this game. When you self craft your own experience, and we love asking this of our guests. Rax, what is it about build making that you love, and what is it that like just brings you back to just carving your own path in these games?
Probably the number one thing is you never quite know what you're going to get, right? I see some people do the same thing over and over that they really know and love every single season. And there is something to really enjoy about that as well. But especially with grinding gear games and like PoE 2 being in early access, we get something new every single time. We get like the druids, everyone's hoping like we're going to get swords and stuff like that. When you log in and nobody actually knows what's going to work, like a month ago, like, is it wolf? Is it bear? Is it wyvern? Is it plants? It's kind of fun just to like kind of like you land with your parachute on the ground and everyone starts running forward, and who can find like the things that really mesh together. And as they continue and add like more uniques and more mechanics into the game, then you can find these like unbelievable synergies that people are unlocking to just like decimate the end game. And that whole path to like zero to godhood feels great every single time.
Yeah. It's like one of the things we love about it is like, especially like why we like the PoE seasons is you actually get to go into them blind. There's no beta test. There's no like everyone, getting a chance to flesh out their builds beforehand. It is a wild experience. And like every day you can wake up to just something, brand new that's like, oh, okay, now my build is just leveled up 10 times because someone found a tech for their build that was unrelated to yours. And it's always fun.
And it also just never ends. Like, especially speaking about PoE 2, and this also goes for PoE 1, even like 12, 13 years later. It just never ends. We could talk about, like, for example, because me and Rex both did a plant build this league, and it's just there's never going to be the same. It's a little bit like snowflakes. There is always going to be like similar factors, especially like I don't know what it's called. It's like parallel thinking, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Or even if you haven't, even if you haven't even heard of another person doing a build like that or whatever, there is going to be some similarities, and if you like compare them or whatever, but then it just starts to, and whether it is down to like me, for example, I have like very peculiar things that I like about builds. I always want it to be like super simple, for example. I don't like doing the extra stuff. I don't like doing like before weapon swapping was this nice, for example, in the seamingless. I didn't really like the whole setup of having to do like a certain weapon swap setup and then preparing something before you go into the map and whatever. So I kind of, even if I did like something that was inspired by someone else, I tried to do it more to my own way, and then it just never ends. And the plant build is a perfect example, because when I was in Rex's stream and he was doing his plant build, I think you said in stream that everyone was like, just look at that rabbit's build for plants or whatever. And
Yeah.
he was like, no, I'm doing it, guys. And I get the same every single day when I'm doing a build. People are just going like, "Oh my god, you're doing Flicker Strike? Just look at, I don't know, just look at Steel Mage's build or whatever." And it's just like, no, I'm doing my thing now. And then in the end, it kind of turned out to be very, very similar. But now Rex has completely evolved from like his own take, and it got like a completely new take as well. And it's amazing. And I said this before we started the pod. This is the perfect encapsulation of what I love about like games like this, and especially PoE 2. And I think PoE 2 has a very bright future when it comes to this stuff, because we haven't even scratched the surface, I think, when it comes to the amount of ascendancies that we have, classes and everything.
I mean, just look at PoE 1, right?
Yeah. So on the plant side, so that's exactly what happened. Like I tried a couple things. Like I tried bear, wolf, and they're really good. And people have absolutely figured it out on all builds from week one, right? Like all these builds are absolutely cooking in different ways. And I started on plants, and everyone's like, "Yeah, guys, dead rabbit. Oh, look at dead rabbit's build." And I'm like, "Guys, with how much you guys are raving about it, I'm sure it's godly. But the problem is if I open his build, then I will just make his build. Like, like let me build it, and then when I'm done, let's go look at dead rabbits. And people are doing other things too. They're playing a blood mage. They're trying it on other ascendancies. It was beautiful. And I remember I finished making my build, and exactly like you, like my strategy is I want to press as little buttons as possible. And then people are like, well, of course, Rax has a D4 brain. He can only press one button. He's the worst player ever. I mean, well, first of all, that might be true, but the real reason why I like to make one button builds is because when you do stuff like that, then you can blast, right? Like you can get a Red Bull IV, and then you can just play for 24 straight hours without your hand falling off. And I remember when I got done making the first iteration of the build, then I pulled up your guide and I noticed one huge difference between yours and mine is you were going into Arcane Surge. You were like trying to solve your mana. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, why is he going so heavily into this? I never run out of mana at all. And then I kept playing a little bit more. And then on bosses, I started running out of mana. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a huge problem. Now I get it. I just haven't gone far enough. So it's like, it's not like my build of like got better than yours. You initially showed me like one of the most key things that I was missing because I wasn't far enough, but I was enjoying it so much. I just kept playing it. Then you talk with the community. Is this person's doing this person's doing that. You try 30 things, only 3 of them work, but eventually the 2 or 3 that really shine for your build make it into like a god.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you see how I solve the problem of people trying to tell me to go follow this guy, follow that guy? Just make an esoteric build that nobody's making. Just never do anything anybody else is making.
Yeah, that's
maybe your
that's
build's gonna suck because it's probably a very off meta skill for a reason. But you know, hey, nobody's gonna sit there and tell me, hey, go check out this guy's guide because there isn't one.
Yeah.
People have just given up in your chat. It's just gonna be, yeah, this guy, we can't even do it anymore. It's it's over.
I bring it up a lot now, but Captain Lance calls it spoiling the end game of the character. And I've gotten to the point where, like, I won't even post my ideas anymore, because I have a Thorns Discord, but, like, the Thorns Discord has evolved into, like, an off-meta Discord, where we just talk about lots of weird builds. And anytime I've almost stopped posting my ideas in there, because, like, it would immediately be responded with, like, people trying to path a building it, and being like, you shouldn't do it because it's going to run into this problem here. And then I'd be like, no, stop. Because I would have had fun 90% of the way there, and then maybe I can still solve that problem later. And like, even if like I can't do that. Like, I will look at I look at PoE Ninja when the character is like hits a wall I can't surpass, or I feel like I'm done and I like want to browse for maybe some optimizations. But until then, it's just so much more fun to go in blind, in my opinion. At least for me. And I know some people, like, they must prefer a more streamlined, smooth experience, but I don't know. I like hitting walls and trying to overcome them. That's like, anytime you overcome, like, that's the most satisfying. I call them the aha moments, where it's like, aha, fuck yeah, I figured it out. And now what was like this insurmountable wall, you can finally progress, and now you're doing so much better. Like, those are the moments I love, and it gets spoiled by just looking at other people's stuff too soon. You should, at the end of your build, look at other people's stuff, like literally what Rax just said. When he was done and he hit a wall, he looked at Dead Rabbit, and it was just a small tweak, still his style, but a small tweak of a few little things. It pushes you a little further, and that always feels good too.
It's actually pretty interesting because I have a kind of an opposite way of approaching build making, especially when it's something that is a little bit less esoteric, which I do still make quite often. I actually do look at people's builds very early on, but the thing is, I'm like a weirdo because a lot of times how other people are doing their builds, I'm not satisfied with it. So I will just change it up. I'll just like, oh, I'll take these things that seem to be working, but then I'm like, these other things, nah, I ain't about it. And then I change it up. And I still run into those walls for that reason, because I'm changing it up and changing up the formula so much that it's just like, well, these things are broken now. They were, before they were working all together harmoniously. Now I just threw in this random thing that I just randomly liked, but it's not working. So then I have to figure it out. So it's interesting how, like, different people kind of go with a different approach.
Yeah, one of the things that I find most helpful, if I look at a build before I'm going in, like, it's not even so much about like how exactly did they go about building their character, but sometimes it's about just the pure mechanics, right? Like, if I'm going to play Plant Druid, obviously I can read the tags at the top, but sometimes looking at someone who has went down that rabbit hole, sometimes you see something that doesn't really align or something that you wouldn't normally think is good. You start to ask, like, does anybody follow this guy's build or this guy's content? And obviously they explain it themselves, but why are they doing this strange thing that I think normally wouldn't work? Then they explain, oh, there's this tech where this weird thing does this and interacts with this. You're like, oh my God, if I would have done that on my own, it would have taken me forever to actually figure that out. And then you go test it. You're like, oh, it does do that. Okay, so that opens up a whole new avenue of thinking when you're building. That's one of the key things that I look for if I'm going to look before I start building it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Muted. I've had kind of the same thing like Cal, you just described in this private league right now, because usually I am kind of a little bit, since I wouldn't describe myself as a currency streamer. I think I'm very, very far from a currency streamer, but I do a lot of content that is adjacent to a lot, like making a lot of currency in the league and going for like the top end of builds when it comes to the currency. So I always feel like a little bit, and I've talked about this on the podcast on this league. Actually, I have really like put that aside a little bit already. So I always do feel like a little bit that I'm in the red race to be like, oh God, I gotta play the meta build, and I gotta be fast, and I gotta have as much rarity as I can, and I need to find the best strategies and whatever. So this is still a little bit the case. So that definitely means that I will go for like what is considered to be the strongest, and what is considered to be the best and the fastest to get to that point. And I've had like that thing that you just described, Cal, happen in this private league with I for some reason I didn't spin a wheel, but people asked me like, did you spin a wheel for this build? But I am doing a crossbow Titan right now in the private league, and everyone, like, the most common question in my chat right now is just like, why Titan? And I'm just like, yeah, it's cool because I'm doing 3 things new now. I'm not running rarity on my build. I'm doing an armor build, which I haven't done before, and I'm doing a class and insanity that I haven't really done before. So in this private league, I've been going with the approach of just like figuring out on the go, and it has been a struggle. I have to say, I have a little bit of armor rant in the barrel because armor, oh my God, it fucking sucks in early end game. What the hell is happening? As a energy shield enjoyer for the past 12 months, I have, what the fuck is happening? And now I'm at 46,000 armor with 90% applied to elemental damage, and now it's starting to feel good at 2,500 life, I have to say. Now it's really starting to feel good, and I figured so much stuff out about so many things in this private league about a build archetype, I would say, I've never played before, and it's been so incredibly fun. I am broke as hell in this private league, but
Same, dude.
it's been probably one of the most enjoyable experiences that I had so far in any like league start. It's a little bit semi SSF right now for me in the private league. I barely trade. I think
that's generally
do
people's experience in private leagues.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. It's been like that, and that's the TLDR. It's been incredibly enjoyable for me.
When I hear Rabbit, I'm just thinking in my mind, like, damn, upper class citizen finally goes and visits the ghetto for the first time. Wait, they sleep on the streets? Wait, what?
This is what it's like, Rabbit.
Have you been in my chat? Because that's exactly the chat. That's exactly the meme in my chat right now. Everyone in my chat is just like, wait, did he not know about this? Is he seriously now figuring out that armor sucks? It's like, I've been running around with 25,000 energy shield, and the people are actually like, I think I used the words. I think I used the sentence just yesterday or day before yesterday. This is how people live with the armor stuff. No, now I have to say I was super mad 2 days ago, like really mad about the whole armor thing. But now I gotta say I'm using Brass Dome now, and I promised this to Cal on one of the previous podcasts. I'm using Brass Dome now, and I'm like doing armor scaling and whatever. But yeah, I don't know if we should talk about the armor thing.
We can dive in. We can dive into the defensive stuff. It's funny though. I did have a similar crash out like league start for me because I went into this league playing a witch hunter playing Spark, and Comet in weapon set 2. I'm doing like a weird weapon set where like weapon set 1 with 120 passive points is like lightning and spark, and weapon set 2 is comet and cold. And I had never leveled with infusions before.
Oh yeah.
And playing infusions on the
Oh.
bottom half of the tree is the most miserable experience I've ever had in this game. I had a bad crash out at the end of day 1 of the private league because I was just like, I understand why everyone hates infusions now, because it was now it's good. Now that I've gotten it optimized in endgame, it's a lot better. But yeah, I had a funny crash out about infusions where it was just like, yikes, that was not fun.
So what was your main problem? Like you had to generate them, and it's hard to generate them, and then you had to go pick them up, and da 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 da.
It was the idea of this that I had to use them in general. I did not want to interact with that system. I just wanted to press spark, and the damage for early game spark, like they designed it to where early game spark needs the infusion to scale its damage without twink gear. And I just was I was just being very stubborn about it. I was like, I want to be a spark user only. I don't want to press like frost bomb and cycle all this, and like it was me being stubborn as hell. But when I finally gave in, it was like, oh, okay, now that you've got the fast bomb going off, you get the infusions faster, you get 2 or 3 at a time, and now I'm actually in path to the sorcerer side of the tree where I can get some remnant passives. It's a lot less painful, but early on, when you, especially going into it blind, I didn't understand how important remnants were early on to the Sork skills. It was just, especially playing again a witch hunter, right? I'm on the bottom half of the stream or the tree for it. It was just, yeah, it was a lot of blindness.
That's a big point of contention with like a lot of builds. So whether you're playing like crossbows and reloading, or you're playing remnants with sorcerer, people like you'll start playing it, you're like, wow, this feels really, really clunky. And then people say, no, Rax. When you're level 90 and you path this and you take this keynote and this thing and you have this unique, then it feels fine. I swear it's like not even a problem. And like you do want to have the journey of a character, like without naming names. There are other ARPGs where you just dominate the whole time and you don't really have a journey at all, and that feels really bad. So we want grinding your games to give us interesting problems to solve along the way. So that way, when we have the aha moments, as you described it, they actually feel impactful and they feel really good, right? But at the beginning, when Spark does like so little damage, and if you don't combo it right, and if you don't manage to somehow get an infusion that does any damage, and if you don't find a wand with spell damage and plus spell levels, or plus spell levels for your amulet early on in the vendor, it actually feels really bad in the early game, which I think is also equally important. Like I just sit there being like, it can't be this bad, can it?
That's what I kept saying. It was literally that was like, is it really this bad without infusions? Like they're like, bro, you have to use infusions. You have to. I'm like, no, there has to be a way to do this without infusions. I refuse. It was a miserable first day, but I'm having a blast with the build now. But it was rough, man.
I said exactly the same sentence about armor. It can't. No, I was in the denial phase, I think, for like 8 hours at one point. I was like, no. It can't. No, this can't be. There is a bug somewhere. It can't be happening like this. I don't know. At the time, I think I had like 12,000 armor. I was in T6 maps or whatever, and I was like, no. I have armor applies to energy. Armor applies to elemental damage on every single gear piece. I have as much armor. I have high armor bases. I'm even scaling some armor on my jewels. I'm scaling armor on the passive G. This can't be true. This can't be happening. So no, it did. No, my whole thing, and we talked about armor energy shield on the podcast before. It's just like when you compare the two, it's just a very, very obvious win for the other. And yes, armor does feel kind of good now, and in a vacuum it would be like, what are you complaining about? It's not that bad. It's just a comparison is what makes it so bad, because energy shield, you just have, let's say you have a helmet with 400 energy shield, you have a body armor with 600 to 1,000 energy shield, and some boots and gloves with some extra energy shield, and then you need maybe 8 nodes on the tree to scale that into 4x, 6x, 8x. And on armor, to make this very, very quick, you need to scale your life, you need to scale armor to get to a point that is like very, very high. And then you need another suffix on your gear that says armor applies to elemental damage. And then chaos damage also exists. So, and CI is also not on the side of your tree. So, yeah, we said this over and over and over and over again, and I am aware now. I was always like, "What are you guys complaining about? Just sitting on the top side of the tree with all my energy shield and stuff." Yes, I know now.
Can't be that bad. Come on, guys. You're over exaggerating. I mean,
besides, like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was gonna say the only thing I was gonna add about why Energy Shield is so OP is it's like the magnitude, as you said, 8 nodes, like 4 or 6x's all of your investment, but it's also the different ways that you can scale Energy Shield. You can scale Energy Shield recharge rate, and you can also scale faster start of Energy Shield recharge. So you can just back away for a moment, whoop, or you can even take the Spirit Gem, what is it, Convalescence, that just instantly, essentially just starts it and just gives you all your health back if something goes wrong every once in a while, like the Abyss monsters do a Kamehameha, oh, just step back, Convalescent, bam, back to full health. It's so, like, exactly as you said, the different vectors that armor has, it's a magnitude problem, and it's also just the vectors themselves are inferior to how you scale Energy Shield.
Yeah. It's at the point where, like, I mean, I'm almost exclusively play like armor builds. I would say like 70% of them end up being like, at least warrior type builds, and I do not transition to armor in the mid or the early mid game or the mid end game. I don't transition to armor until I'm late game. I will do life stacking with leech. Like life stacking with leech is way more effective in the mid game than just armor, because like you just, like you said, you need it's just so hard. You need so many modifiers, and then even if you get like, if you have a shield, you can get shield with chaos, or armor applies to chaos. That's only if you're playing with a shield, right? And if you don't have the shield, it's so much harder to get that. So then you have to get 75% chaos res mixed in. So it's just like, I almost exclusively life stack, try to get 2,500 to 3,000 life as early as I can in the mid game, and then eventually I swap to armor. Brass Dome does help a lot, though. I think like Brass Dome is the biggest win for mid game armor builds. Immune to crits is insane, and it's just so much flat armor, especially if you're a Titan. With the, you can get the double body armor node, but yeah, armor is rough.
It is.
Feels like I said, now it feels very good.
Yeah. But you have to jump through like 10, 15 different hoops to get there, though.
Yep.
And that's the problem with armor compared to everything else. Everything else is very simple. Just get bigger number, and you're gonna be eventually good. But armor's like, yeah, you can get a bigger number, but like, you know, you still need these other numbers to go up as well to make sure that you're okay. Like, when scaled,
it felt like that.
When scaled well, armor is actually, I think, in my opinion, probably the tankiest, defensive player out of everything. Because like there, at some point, energy shield. I mean, depending on how you build it, I guess. But unless you're going deep into like some sort of maybe like regen, energy shield recharge reduction, like the delay reduction or something like that, like you can't really like sit there and tank hits forever. You kind of have to like step away. It's just that energy shield is like, you have such a big health pool that, like, you know, eventually you're just gonna, you take a couple hits and it's fine, but then you're gonna kill the monsters anyway, so it doesn't matter. But armor, you can actually just like sit there and just do nothing, and then nothing can kill you type of situation. Like watching Carnarius with his like shaman converting everything into Ellie, and he just sits there and is like, yeah, nothing can kill me. It's great. But I think that is the biggest problem with armor right now, is that if you've ever looked at POB, which I'm sure you guys have for when you're playing armor characters, you look at that physical damage line, the amount of physical damage you can take, it's always like half as much as the Ellie damage that you can take. It's just like you get killed by Fizz just really hard. Even though, I mean, and that's what armor is supposed to do, right? Protect you from physical damage. But it doesn't. That's the problem. So you have to go through all these hoops to like convert the damage you take into Ellie. Then your armor scales with, then your armor can start protecting you from Ellie. And then that's when it starts getting okay.
Yeah, and like not even just that though. It's like you just mentioned, like you do want to also stack damage taken as elemental, like through molten being or other sources. But then oftentimes as an armor player, you want to get some form of damage taken from mana before life. Like you need so many different ways to just slightly mitigate the damage so you're taking these big hits. Armor is great at taking lots of small hits, but for the big hits, it's just so many hurdles and hurdles and hurdles. And what's the funny thing about armor is, like this, as someone who mains armor, one of the number one like misunderstandings I've seen about armor is the 90% physical damage reduction.
Oh yeah,
They're like,
that number is
I'm at the
terrible.
90%. I've got 12,000 armor. I don't understand why I'm dying. It's like you don't stop at 90%. You need as much armor as you could possibly get. If you can get over 100,000 armor, you should. Like just keep going and going and going. It's like armor is not just hard to do, but just even intuitively, a lot of people struggle with it.
Indeed.
So let's talk about builds. I mean, you've played the plant build, or we just talked about your plant build, Rax. Have you played any other builds this league, or has it just been plants?
I started Wolf. Wolf felt pretty good to me, but it was so many combos early on. I looked for something else. I did the bear. I didn't get it all the way to Walking Calamity, just the big Hulk smash build. That felt pretty good. Cleared the whole campaign with that. When I was done with it, I was like, I don't really know if I want to do that. And then I tried the Jin, and the Jin was a little bit surprising to me. So it was a minion build, and you have these Jins, but they only attack if you tell them to attack. They aren't like actual minions that you get, and they don't do anything passively. I was like, grinding your games, where are my Jins? Where are my genies? Like, this is a minion build. Where are they at? So that's actually the first plant build I made, and I was like, I think this would be better in Oracle. So I re-rolled it over there. And now I'm playing just the standard meta Spark Comet and just deleting everything with Temporalis. So I played a handful of builds, but the one I played by far the most, I enjoyed the most, was Plants.
Oh yeah, yeah. Plants looks fun. I didn't end up league starting it. It was supposed to be my league starter, but I ended up swapping off. Rabbit, what you were playing? You said you're playing crossbow Titan. What skill are you using in the private league?
I started off using for a campaign. I use grenades and explosive shot mainly because I really dislike galvanic shots in campaign. I've used it before to level like different characters, and I really dislike galvanic shots in campaign. So I just went with explosive shot and grenades. And the original plan was to also play explosive shot grenades in endgame, and then eventually transition into a build that doesn't rely on grenades for especially clear. I have right now, and it's still like in the works now. I have switched to galvanic shards now in the end game. I'm still using grenades sometimes for clear, for like bigger rares, but mostly no. For single target, I'm using the thunderstorm thing. The thunderstorm, the easy magnitude of shock thunderstorm mechanic with commiserate, overcharge, that one, and that is just super good for single target. And I'm actually using Last Lament now because it's probably my favorite unique in the game. I think it's one of the coolest designed, not only visually designed, but also like the idea behind it and how it came to be. I don't know. It's an amazing unique, and I'm using it because you can get around the downside of you having to sacrifice life to reload pretty easily with Argent's Medal and Ratha's Assault, because Galvanic Shards got changed at one point to not have, I think, I don't know, how many bolts was it before? 4, I think. And then they changed it that Galvanic Shards only have 1 bolt. Has 1 bolt now, so you always shot, reloaded. So that made it a little bit bad to use, especially Last Lament, because you had to sacrifice 300 life every single time. But with Ratha's Assault, you can reload, first of all, while dodge rolling. So you reload when dodge rolling, but also you load 5 bolts. So Galvanic Shards, once again, like before, has 5 bolts now in there. And when you then pair it with Argent's Medal, that says that every time you kill anything, a mob, you reload one of your bolts, or all your bolts, actually. It's perfect for Last Lament, because you never have the downside of having to sacrifice your life. And even if you do have the physical leech on Last Lament. So sometimes it may happen that you sacrifice one time. It only becomes really a bad thing, in my opinion, on Last Lament when you actually have to sacrifice over and over again and just drain your life like that. But if it happens like 2 or 3 times, it's fine. You leech it back. So it's working really well. The only downside a little bit is when it comes to the uber endgame aspects of the build is that Last Lament can't really be scaled that much because it has a specific. I have a perfect one now. I have 320 attack speed, so there's not really much more room to go. And also, Requiem is just amazing. Requiem, the single target. I'm using Constricting Command now for the surrounded thing because Galvanic Shots is honestly basically a melee skill. It's not really a range skill. You're always surrounded basically, even though with the nerf to Constricting Command now. And like I said, Requiem is just amazing. The Last Lament skill that you get from the bow. It freezes a pinnacle boss in 2 seconds, and then you just blast through. It's amazing that you just get it for free on that bow. It's just every single time you use Last Lament in a build, your single target is solved like immediately. And I just discovered yesterday actually that you for some reason I never knew this. I always thought that if you use Requiem, you can't use anything else while doing it. No, you still can. You can use Requiem. You can spam out 4 grenades, spam out your Thunderstorm, and use Requiem afterwards. Use Requiem for 3 seconds, spam out 3 more grenades, and then use Requiem again. It's perfect.
Yep. A lot of builds that don't have good damage use Requiem for single target. Like there's a Kingpin's build who was just doing all in on Cole, so he did no damage on anything. But because his Cole threshold was so high, it was just killing everything in one shot. But when it came to bosses, he couldn't do it. So he just slapped on, what is it called? Last Lament, and boom, single target solved.
Pretty cool. Misa, you, have you only been playing? You didn't play in the private league, right? You've only been playing your hammer build.
So I did play the private league for a little bit. I hopped in on launch day. I made a witch. Was gonna play Oscrix's Napalm Wolves build. But then this was like a day after I started my hammer build, and I was like sitting through campaign, leveling up again. I was like, I just really want to play my hammer build right now. So I was like, you know what? If I go and if I'm just gonna we'll take a little bit of a break we'll start a little bit later. So I've been playing my hammer build. And right now, so I was at a point where I was like, you know what? Let's start to make a new build, right? And I was heavily, and I even pressed the button for the private league, but I was like, you know what? If I really wanted to, I could just type on my stream private league second win and nobody would know. But I mean, I'm not going to do that, but yeah, I was just like, you know what? I don't know. Like, I mean, I've been pretty vocal about private. I don't know if we want to get into the private league stuff right now, but I've been pretty vocal about private league, and it's like nothing like against you guys or the private league itself or whatever. But I'm personally just not a huge fan of private leagues. That's just
me.
I
get it.
It's to me, it's SSF plus, like you guys are saying, right? So for me, I'm just like, well, if I'm gonna do that, why don't I just play SSF? And I'm gonna be honest, I think that the economy is not gonna be that much different from the regular league.
Oh, it definitely won't be. Like the economy is already looking like it's pushing towards the exact same economy from the main league. But to me, go ahead, Miso. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So actually, I don't want to be negative about it because you guys are like, running.
You're sounding like a hater right now.
But I'm not trying to hate, but it's just a matter of fact. But
hater says what?
It's just a matter of fact. But like, I actually think like it's kind of unfortunate because like this league is the league that a lot of people felt like they needed the private league the most to get the economy reset. But I actually think a league like this is probably one of the worst leagues to have an economy reset, because what's going to happen is at the beginning, everybody already has the farming strat down. They already know the super OP farming strat. So the people who get into the end game first are just immediately going to dominate the market. And not like the thing with the fate of the Vaal League was that, by the time everything was discovered and everything, all the OP strats were discovered, a lot of people at that point, the people who are uber farming the temple, already were at pretty end game equipment. They weren't really dealing with like the equipment at the early game, where a lot of people who are just getting into the end game would be dealing with, right? But with the private league, everybody who's dealing with the temple stuff and getting all this drops kind of are still fighting for that same pool of equipment as the people who aren't like you who are getting there a little bit later. So you're just going to get these people who have a lot more currency than the people who just get to the end game, and then they're fighting over the same equipment, but one has a lot more money than the other.
Yeah. That's been my experience on the private league. We could talk about it now. The second win private league, it did happen this Friday. First of all, it is the biggest private league in PoE history. GGG recently extended the cap to 40,000 and then 50,000 after saying they couldn't extend it anymore, which is awesome. So shout out to shout out to everyone involved. Mobilix sponsored it. Shout out to Talkative Try, Guitar Holic, Alcohol, and Mr. Dead Rabbit himself. They were the main ones pulling the strings with Mobilytics getting it online. And what's the name of
Icon?
Sorry, I forgot the name of the Icon. Thank you. They helped sponsor the event to get more slots into it, which is just crazy. They pulled that off so fast. It's cool that this early on in early access, a private league can pull this much draw. I think that's the most exciting thing about it to me, is the fact that like people just clearly want to play PoE 2 this much. I love fresh starts. Like, to me, it's just practice. Like, even though it's like not a real fresh start, it's solo self on plus, because there is trade league involved in it. At least early on, there's a lot of early game uniques. You get a kind of a league start practice for me. It was the main reason I went into it. But I've been basically echoing what you said the last week, Miso, is like, anyone going into the private league for thinking it was going to be like a good economy, that they would like a second chance at it, it's definitely not going to be that. It's just like it's just a fresh start. But I think like already Garukins is at like 40 divine. It's like it's only day 3, so it's just like it's gotta just keep getting bigger and bigger.
And can't keep people out of temple.
Nope.
I woke up to about 40 messages this morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. I have about 40 messages to go through, and I looked through like 5 of them, and they were all about people are abusing the temple again. And it's just like our whole point with the private league was just like we're not like telling people what to do. We just wanted people like to have the opportunity, and the feedback, like the overall feedback, has been amazing so far. There's a lot of people that just said, "Oh, I enjoyed this so much. It gave me like a new outlook on like my league start, and I just wanted to play this league a little bit again." It's just like a lot of this stuff when it comes to, I don't know whether it is how people feel about the economy or feel about that. Like I said, it's about feelings. It's not always just like factually based. Is the economy actually broken? Is it actually? But how it feels to people. And a lot of people felt like they need a new fresh start, or they wanted to dabble in. And the feedback has been amazing, and that's honestly all we could ask for. And we'll see. It's gonna be hard, especially as if a league is this big, it's gonna be hard to try to say, or we can't really police like groups of people temple farming, or like setting up a perfect temple now and doing that and doing this, and no one is doing rituals, so all the ritual prices, the ritual omens are all like very expensive. I'm a firm believer, and I do this all the time now as a meme. I pull up like a picture of Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations on my screen, because people are always talking about like the economic factors and everything. Oh, why is this so bad? Why is this so high? And oh, the private league failed because Whittle is already 6 divs. And I'm like, yo, supply and demand. The market does what the market does, and it will do it. It will level out. It will level out.
It's
And I firmly
self-regulating.
believe it will.
Mhm.
Yes, it is self-regulating, and it will happen. And it's already kind of happening a little bit, because you can see it on the market for like items. You saw it a little bit because I watched the crossbow market a little bit on the private league, and people were listing day 2 crossbows for like 200 divines, and I was like, what are you doing? And it's just in the end, it's gonna be like the crossbow for 200 divines. It's not gonna get sold, and that person is gonna be like, damn, I do want my divines though, so they're gonna go down to 150, and then it doesn't sell, and then they're gonna go down to 100, and then we have a market forming itself. So we'll see. It's kind of an interesting experiment for me because I really like these factors in a league, and that's why I play Trade League, because I always liked to have like these market things inside of a game that I always love that part of any video game. So it's kind of an interesting study for me right now in the private league. So yeah, I'm glad people are having fun. That's all we could ask for. I've been streaming a lot during the start of the private league. People have enjoyed it a lot. That's basic. That's all we needed.
It's all the
that's
important.
all I
That's the
ever
important
wanted.
part.
Yeah,
Just have fun.
I think you guys have done an amazing job to make like the biggest private PoE thing, a PoE league ever. When people really enjoy these different things and the different races is a huge accomplishment. I haven't played on it. I was going to, but then I was doing some other things I was going to play. I was actually going to play WoW tomorrow, but then they told us that we could boost Shaman. So like, oh my god, if I can just pay to win and have a max character, I'll just.
Oh,
do
they
that.
added
Yeah.
boosts. Okay.
Yeah, so now I can just boost. It's like, oh, thank God. The 1 to 60 in classic is brutal. Yeah, so the phenomenon that I expected to happen is kind of what you guys are describing. So people who go to the private league, first of all, it just feels cool just to do like a fun new thing that everybody's doing. It's fun to have a fresh start. But I was like, well, guys, the temple is still there and the temple is still solved. So the way that I thought about it in my mind, I was like, okay, so the people who play very casually, they don't have that much time, da 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 da. I think their experience is going to be unchanged. I think they're going to be very far behind, and I think they're going to run into the same economic issues by the time that they actually get there. If they do decide to build their temples, which probably most of them don't, it won't be worth it for them. They got to do something more simple, like you said, farm ritual with the omens to do something else, or maybe go for the omens of light on Abyss. And of course, the super insane Giga Chads that just know how to rip through the campaign and have already built the special tech temples. They're going to be rich, and unless the temple is disabled, of course they're going to do that. Like, you can complain all you want in chat. This guy's doing the temple. Can you believe what a piece of shit he is? But I mean, that's what they're going to do. I thought the demographic whose needle might move the most were maybe like the late adopters in the temple in the beginning of the league. The people who were like doing their abyss and weren't quite sure. And then the temple started printing. And then they're like, oh God, do I have to switch? And then they switched, but it was too late. Maybe this private league was a chance for them to start, level up, and kind of be like a Giga Blaster and be a part of that like super wealthy economy. I thought for them, like it might be an interesting challenge in the reset league, but I thought the other demographics would have mostly an unchanged experience in terms of the economy.
100% agree.
Yeah. And we've talked about the economy a lot over the last week, and we'll get your thoughts on the league in general in a second. But I was originally one of the people who was like, "Oh, this is probably looking pretty bad." But then, as like I just kept playing the league, and everyone has their own experiences. I don't know what the more casual end is, but this has been, and not in an inflation sense where it's like, "Cal, you've only made more currency," but in relation to the others, you've not actually made more currency. No, my builds are more expensive. They're more pimped out than they've ever been, and I've got like all of my builds are thick with like just items I would have never been able to afford before this patch. Like this has not been a like a league where
you're talking about
the
the Fate of the Vaal League, right? Not Second Win.
Yeah. But it's not Fate of the Vaal League, the main league. Like my main league experience was never like I never felt like I was priced out. I felt like I was priced in. Like I was able to afford so much I never could afford before. And like my perspective completely changed as the league going on, and even going into this, like what I'm seeing right now is like essentially the exact same thing in the main league. It's just people are farming temple, already printing divines. That's why there's a huge divine gap growing for all these lineages. But we're seeing everything like the whittlings and stuff. They just sell for so much. Like isolations are at 6 divine right now already. Like that's just. So like if you don't have to do temple to make currency again, it just feels like the exact same. Like it just feels like this is like a league where everyone makes currency. Again, I don't know what the actual casual experience is. I don't, I definitely have learned how to make currency over the last year of grinding this game. But from my perspective, this was not a drought league in any way, and I'm feeling the exact same thing going into the private league. So
Yeah, my builds have also been very thick. I have spent like, so like my Hammer of the Gods build, I've probably spent like upwards of like 600 div on it, 500 to 600 div, and that is a number that I have never seen before, and I still have more money left type of situation. So I do not feel priced out either.
I think one phenomenon that happens here that I think I felt it gave me an advantage. Like, okay, you get more divines, but everyone has more divines. So do you actually have more currency? But I would agree. I think like my plant build is probably the strongest build I've ever made. And I think one phenomenon that really helps is when people have a ton of divines, then one of the biggest differences between player to player is how good are you at trading? How good are you with the search filters when you're not just buying like, an obvious unique that has this stat or that stat? How good are you at finding like the really, really good rares that are, significantly cheaper than other options? Um, so like one day I sat there on the auction house. I had like 150 divine and I was like, well, I'm going to try to really, really upgrade my amulet. And then after messing around with it for a while, I found an amulet with for 100 divine that just seemed just light years better than the other ones for like a really like popular meta build. And I was just like, I'm telling you, man, there's no way this is worth it's just worth way more than this. So that's like another thing when people get this influx of currency, the more comfortable you are trading or the more time you'll spend with it, you can find like these really high value mismatched or mispriced items, and that can help like uh, fund whatever character you're currently building.
yeah, definitely like just we all get better over time, and the trade is a difficult thing to navigate for a new player. You can really waste currency. Like sometimes when I'm streaming, I'm shopping, like someone will be like, "Stop, stop, 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 stop. You need to search it this way." And it's like, "Oh, okay. I just saved myself 17 divine." It's just like, oh, it's like those filters matter a lot.
And using if you're playing Trade League, and I say this that this is like one of the most or one of the most common questions overall in my stream is every single day. It's like, wait, how is this happening every league? Because people, I show my pilfering like a weekend, and it's let's say 20 to 30 to 50 raw divines dropped, and people see that I am running a build that has like I don't know. They see an item that I have in there, and just that one item is 600 divines. And it's just when you are playing in a trade league, you gotta accept that most of the currency made for most people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, it's just it is through trade side. It is the most profitable way of playing Path of Exile. And if you're against that, and if you feel like, oh, that shouldn't be happening, most of I want to play the game and make this amount of currency, and you definitely can. Like for example, we just had Prada on. Prada doesn't really do anything like flipping, crafting, trading, whatever. He is just a blaster, and he makes good amounts of currency and has insane builds going for like insane prices and whatever. So it's still possible, but in the end, like using trade side is an art form on its own, and it's I can only tell everyone it can also be fun to be knowledgeable about how to use the trade side and weighted sums and count filters and whatever it is, because it's kind of cool sometimes, because if you do have that live search going for that perfect item that you were looking for, and it's like, oh my god, I just sniped this for like 20 exalteds or whatever, when it should have been uh, uh, 2 divines or whatever. It's also that's basically a tink in my in my brain.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Rax, we've talked a lot about this league on this podcast. I think, some of us say last league was our favorite. Some of us said this league, but overall, we're pretty positive on Fate of the Vow. What is your opinion on the league as a whole now that we're like, I guess, a little over a month into it?
So I think so. Talking first about like the overall opinion, there's a famous saying that perception is reality. So, like the optics of how things start, because a lot of people play in the beginning and then they quit after a week, um, and that's the memory they're going to have of the league. The temple was in a pretty rough spot in the beginning. It really just felt like randomly vomiting rooms, and then all the work that you did do just got deleted, and no one was doing these crazy strategies. I think Druid out of the gate, for a new player or not really good like uh, build maker, I think a lot of it felt pretty rough, especially because a lot of them are incentivized to go armor early on. We talked about armor, so I think for a lot of people that just played the very very early parts of the league, it was probably pretty unfavorable. One thing that I think in general, I'm more favorable to the league than that, like you guys said. So the first thing that I hear for some people is, I hate the temple. I can't believe that Grinding Gear Games made the temple like this. Well, first of all, I don't think Grinding Gear Games intended for us to essentially skip all of the main mechanics. Like the way you build a temple is after you get your medallions, you don't go kill the architect and you don't go kill it in Siri, or I guess you could, but you just make this gigantic chain that never dies and just prints hundreds of divines. I don't think that was on Grinding Gear Games bingo card, so I don't really fault them for that. But the thing that I keep saying to my audience is the great thing about the temple is it's much different than every other endgame mechanic. Let me give you an example. What do you do in Abyss? You run to the Abyss and you kill the monsters. What do you do on Breach? You run to the purple thing and you kill the monsters. What do you do in Expedition? Expedition has logbooks, which I guess is something, but instead, most people just take big bomb, kill the monsters. You want to know what you do here? You have a puzzle. You actually do something. So whether you hate it or not, grinding your games is going to change how the temple is actually built and how it's functioning. I don't think this is how they wanted it to go at all, but at least it's something different. The people who do like puzzles will find it fascinating. I love puzzles. I like to do Sudoku puzzles. I like to play chess. I like to play Minesweeper. This is super up my alley. So I keep making new characters and making builds, and chat's like, Rax, another temple? I'm like, yeah, it's fun, man. They're like, don't you have enough money? It's not about the money, man. It's just a little puzzle and it's kind of fun. Just kind of play the game. And how many rooms should you vomit in the middle early on? And should I lock the spy master or not? Or should I risk it? Weighing the odds. How many will I get next round? Like it's, it's kind of like, it's almost like you're gambling sometimes at the casino early on in these temples. So I would say overall, the last league was better. Abyss was just a huge win. Abyss was so fun. It was rewarding, but it wasn't insanely OP. It was also challenging. Um, I thought Abyss, and it also introduced like a lot of crafting into the game, which the game really, really lacks. So I don't think it's overall better than the Abyss League, but the more that I play it and the more that I sink my teeth into it and the more that we figure it out, the more favorable I am to it overall for the long-term health of the game.
Mhm. Completely agree. And I think like it's like this in PoE 1 too, right? Delve is a very unpopular mechanic by most people's, I guess standards. A lot of people don't like doing Delve, but at the same time, there are people that are diehard Delve fans. Looking at Cal Torak over here, right? And it's about giving people a different option for playing the end game.
Exactly.
It's like this league, maybe it's not your league, maybe it's not most people's league, but there are some people out there who absolutely love the temple, and even if it was not printing divs like it is right now, they would still be in there all day every day because they just love the aspect of the temple, that puzzle part of it, and everything that has to go with it. And I think that's the beauty of a game like Path of Exile, is that they can design these mechanics that are not necessarily for everybody, but they design it well, so the people who do like that type of mechanic will just absolutely love it. So, that's like the thing that I see. I always see like these comments like, "Oh my god, this is the worst league mechanic ever. I hate it. I hope it never goes core." But I really don't think that's the case. Like it's actually a really good mechanic, especially for the people who like it.
I think it's awesome. I love the mechanic. My biggest complaint this entire time, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Raz, because you just said you've like you've rebuilt a lot of temples. My biggest complaint has been rebuilding temples. Now I've made like 8 or 9 characters now, so like starting over every time you wanted to like you're starting to get your temple going, and then it was a restart. That was always frustrating to me. Did you prefer the restarts of the temple? Because for me, like my only complaint was it wasn't account wide. I wanted it to be for every character because I did not enjoy starting it for the 8th, 9th time myself.
So I personally would be okay either way. Like I don't have an insanely strong opinion here, but I'll tell you one thing that shocked me. When I went to a new character and I had to farm the meta progression again.
Oh
I
yeah, the
had to
medals and
farm
stuff, the
my
capacity.
medallion. Yeah, I had to farm my capacity. I had to farm my medallion counts again. Like, come on. Like, there ain't no way. I think at a minimum that should be account wide. Um, I don't know. Like, if it I think part of this may depend on how they actually like what the final form of the temple looks like. Is grinding your games going to allow us to build a 77 temple room that just stays alive forever if you have 10 spy masters to lock the two ends all the time? It would shock me if they're going to allow that. But and then it becomes like a philosophical question. If you spend the entire league building this on your league starter, then you switch to your mirror character that's just the best temple farmer in the world, should you have to go through the pain of rebuilding the temple? I think like for me personally, I just like the puzzle, so I don't mind doing it. But I think that rebuilding the entire thing really hurts the casual players. Like
Mhm.
a lot, there's a huge slice of the pie who play this game who don't have enough time to build one temple, certainly let alone two. So if they said they were going to keep all the temples progression, I would probably be for it.
I think I like what you just said about how the medallions should definitely progress because the one thing that stands out to me is like with the temple scaling difficulty, if you do have a global a temple like instead like 40 something runes and then you are playing a new character, like an under geared new character can't clear a 40 room temple. Like the effectiveness will just be way too hard for them. So there is like some incentive for it to reset for like, under geared and fresh characters, but I think most people would probably want the progress to carry over. Definitely the medallions, though, because that's like there are just some characters like, oh, I know I'm only playing this character for 3 days because I'm just trying out a concept. I'm not even gonna bother farming Architect or Temple. It's just like it ain't worth it.
I mean, remember when D4 had the thing where you had to go collect those statues on every single character?
Yeah, your altars of Lilith.
Yep. Oh, people
Yeah.
hated that, and they got rid of it, which was great. And I hope that they do the same thing here in PoE 2 as well, which also goes with for the Abyss thing too, like the where you have to do that thing in Act 2. What is it, Mastodon Wasteland or
Yeah.
whatever it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know
Bone
why I
pits
have
or
to go there
whatever.
every single time. Just let me unlock for the entire character, like the entire account when I go there once.
The same thing with like the trial of the Sekimas as well. Same idea. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I I I have a feeling that a lot of these little tiny details are probably on the back burner because they're always so behind, right? They're
Oh
always
yeah.
pushing stuff back. Like I can feel the tension. I'm not there in New Zealand with grinding gear games, but it seems to be weighing on them very heavily. These like release cadences and have openly admitted last year in the interviews, they wanted to have the full game out this year, but of course that didn't happen. And then they said, well, 2026. And they said, well, we hope so. It's like, wow, that's like literally an entire year behind. And I think if you ask grinding gear games, was this league launched in the quality that they would have wanted on the first day, I think they would say no. So I'm hoping a lot of these tiny things that we're talking about will get fixed once like, the big ticket items, once they actually catch up, get handled.
Hmm.
Any thoughts before we move on to the next subject, Robert?
I mean, it's just I think it's super super good to hear most of the time when we have guests on that we're all kind of on the same page when it comes to these things, and it just gives me not hope. I think that it's like hyperbolic to be like, oh, I have hope now or whatever. In the end, it's not that deep, but um it's a good sign for me because if some of these things that could improve in the future are this obvious, I have a very, very, very high confidence in GGG in addressing this stuff. We talked about this at length. We were all on this podcast. We were all of the opinion that we think that they could just do more changes even within leagues, and we would like them to treat this more as an actual early access game. And I think the private league has shown at least one thing, like completely disconnected from all the economic stuff and whether people want to play SSF or start fresh or whatever. But I think it has shown one thing, that people don't seem to be that mad about having to restart even within a league. I'm not saying like if there's something broken or whatever, GGG should restart the full league. I'm not saying that, but what the private league definitely shows is that people are willing to, start fresh. They don't seem to be having this much problems with changes within a league, or starting on a new character or thinking about doing a new build or whatever. So maybe this is sending like a message to GGG that they can actually adjust stuff within a league, and that we should be getting more mid-league patches that actually address issues like balance or whatever that may be. So yeah, treat this more as an early access game. That is my biggest wish, because that is the only way we're moving forward. Because in the end, it's like they need, I don't know, like in game development, you need like parsers, right? Something is wrong, you fix it, then due to the fix, there's another thing wrong, and then you fix it. And I feel like the way we're doing it right now, they're not getting enough parsers on all of that. They need more. We need to move faster on that, and then I think, yeah, we're gonna have an amazing game by full release, and it already is.
Well,
Yeah,
the one
that's-
thing that I would kind of push back on that is definitely like, I think that it does show that people are willing to do a restart, but the reason why they're willing to do the restart is because a lot of them have lost hope in the original league.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a
I don't know how
catastrophic
much percentage
situation,
that is, though. Like,
Back
maybe
to
I'm
the
wrong.
feeling
Maybe
part,
I'm
right?
the minority, but I don't feel like the majority are playing in the league because they think the current league is dead. Maybe I'm wrong, though.
that's the feeling
I'll
I
tell you-
get. But yeah,
Tell you
don't know.
one thing about like what Dead Rabbit said there about treating it as an early access game. So when they got back from Christmas, when they came back and rushed into the office and they nerfed the lock medallions, and then it like, even grinding your games would admit that was a horrible change, because
Mhm.
the idea of it, as Dead Rabbit said, you fix one problem and cause another. It caused such a huge issue for the people that didn't have their temples built. It created this huge like social hierarchy rift that it just broke everything. But the thing that really really surprised me, I mean, almost honestly, it royally pissed me off, was there's a lot of things that are just like obviously wrong with the temple, right? Like, not the whole strategy, even on how you build the temple. It's like you walk into the temple and you clear 99% of the monsters in a room, and there's always a monster Blair witching in the corner, just staring at the corner. He's invisible, and it's like that in every room. Even if you're playing like the meta Spark Comet, choir build, it's such a bad experience. And then like the door glitches, or the monsters freezing and you can't attack them. And I've done this like at least 10 times, where you dodge roll into the door, log out,
Yep.
and log back in, and you glitch into the door to go into the next room. You go into a spy master room, and if you're playing multiplayer, they'll teleport out of the room. It's like there were so many things that were obviously wrong about the temple that could be fixed right now without like disrupting like the economy or players experience, that would have made the patch so much better. It was shocking to me that we didn't see a lot more of those things done first, rather than the entire, it's like they took the table and just flipped it over on everybody, and then they were like, ooh, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that, then they reverted it a few days later.
Yeah, my biggest biggest talking point on this podcast from day one has I just want them to patch more. They never want they are very hesitant to patch. They don't want to make changes, and there's just it's so many quality of life things that could be done. We're about to talk about the PoE 1, PoE 2 cycle. Obviously, being split between two games has slowed down a lot of that development, but it's just there's so much obvious stuff, and it's clear that this we need wasn't didn't they have to make a patch to where you couldn't even get the temple to level 80 originally or something? Things like that are just crazy that it gets through on launch. There's just so many of these little changes that it's just one, it wasn't even tested, and two, they just aren't even trying to. They only have time to fix things that seem to be critical. They don't have time for these little quality of life polish stuff, and that really sucks because it sounds like we're about 2 months away from the next PoE 1 league, and are we even gonna get 0.4.1? And of these 50,000 people who are playing the PoE 1 private link, if we got a 0.4.1 with new unique, some quality of life, some light changes them, how many of them would have been down to just start a new character in a new league to test then parse Rabbit was just saying? It's just I've been more for patching always. I really wish they would treat it more like an early access game, but I think it all just goes back to the PoE 1, PoE 2 cycle where it's just until that is more stable, they can only address S tier issues once it's out, That's at least how it feels to me. Rax, what are your thoughts on the PoE 1 versus PoE 2 cycle right now? This is one of the things I like to ask the guests, especially as you, who's an ARPG degenerate. Are you starting to feel any ARPG fatigue? Are you starting to feel PoE fatigue? As a player, is that starting to impact you at all, or are you just in the golden era of gaming right now?
I always crown myself in my stream as king of the losers. I gotta be honest with you, man. I am not fatigued at all. I love PoE 1, and I really like PoE 2. I think when some of these polished things get into the game, and as they continue developing it, I think it's going to end up being one of my favorite games. I am definitely in the camp where I think, obviously with so many, more than a decade of development, I think PoE 1 is better than PoE 2 right now. And I think it will be that way for at least another year, depending upon how things go. I'm not tired at all, man. As far as I'm concerned, I just started blasting. But then again, I'm a loser. The thing that I've noticed on the other end, and I haven't been around. I've only been around the PoE scene for maybe about 2 years. Is I watch all of the interviews, as we joked earlier. I make all the recaps. I watch them very intently. I'm writing down the words that they say, and I'm really dialed in when they talk. I definitely sense between those releases and between the interviews, I feel like grinding your game seems very, very stressed. I feel like they were used to just doing one game and delivering such high quality over such a huge period of time that now that they're doing two games and they have such big aspirations, I feel like they're being stretched so thin. We hear that things are getting better, they're hiring more, they're feeling better about it. But then we see the Breach League last time. I remember everyone spamming in my chat, Rax, you want to know what royally pisses me off about the Breach League other than certain things like ground loot doesn't matter? It's these stupid walls and all the different mechanics where if the old grinding gear games, if they had released this league mechanic, they would have had a mega patch within the first week, completely fixing all of these. But instead, we got a tiny little patch here or there, and then we never heard anything else from them. Then we got the announcement, the date seems pushed back further, which I think is a better strategy. People are taking it this is a very bad news, and I don't know, but I think something's got to give here. I feel like on their side, I can feel the tension. I feel the stress in listening to them talk, and I would like that to go away for them. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if they hire more. I don't know if they have less deliverables. I don't know if they extend the release cadence, because a lot of people have felt the reverse. As you asked me, they feel very, very burnt out. That's not good either. So I would imagine they come back into the office and they have a serious conversation about their strategy internally and how that will also affect the community. But no, man, Whatever you release, man, I'm ready. No, I'm not tired at all. In fact, I'm going to add another game. We're going to play WoW TBC as well. Like, it's time to blast, man. It's always time to blast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've had this discussion a lot on the podcast of like, can they develop two games or not? I think all three of us echo that the idea that PoE 1 needs to die for PoE 2 to live is ridiculous. We always push back on that one pretty hard, but it definitely seems like they bit off a little bit more than they could chew too early on, and both games have suffered from it. I feel like just and I want to ask like all of you guys this is, do you think this development cycle has led to the new player experience suffering? A lot of us are veterans who have been playing since patch 0.1, so we were able to navigate this patch, but a lot of how the temple was released was very unreadable in the UI. It was very difficult to approach, like it just blind. And then we talked about the Breach League, where like it was just mechanically rough, and they weren't able to adjust it at really much at all in PoE 1. Is this development cycle, like if someone were to jump into PoE 2 right now or PoE 1 right now, is like and you don't have that grace that like you giving grinding in your games, like if like we all give them that pass because we know what they can do, and even what they're doing right now is better than most. But if you're brand new, is this going to be like a rough period for the new players? Let's start with Rax.
So this, my answer might surprise you. It might surprise you. This might be a terrible take. I actually, if I think about that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is I think the recent things that have happened are actually worse for the veterans than they are for the new players. Let's start with the PoE 1. I think it's I feel more strongly about the PoE 1 league. So what did you do in Breach last time? Well, you went around and you did the little temples, or you went to the middle and you defended the little areas, or you expanded the breach, or you fought the little bosses, and then you went to the tree. The tree had a pretty simple, in terms of grinding your games, a pretty simple crafting tree, right? That's as simple as anything's ever going to get, and that thing absolutely printed probably better starter loot and probably a better end game loot than for new players than they had maybe ever seen in PoE 1. But the veterans were like, every single thing that you know how to do, every little cool trick that whatever niche you have carved out, you're doing strong boxes, you're doing harbingers, you're doing settlers, whatever it is that you're doing. Well, all the ground loot and a lot of those mechanics were completely obsoleted by this very simple breach mechanic, which absolutely printed. So who does that hurt? To me, all the people that I heard that hated it were the veterans, and all the people who loved it were the new people. They say, I love the breach tree. I just do my little breach. I make my little tree. I have it summon items for me. This is the best items I've ever had in the game. And then when we come to PoE 2, it's maybe a little bit of a harder sell, specifically if you're talking about the temple. If a new player logs in and they're dead set on doing the temple, that experience is not good, right? It's a puzzle. It's not that easy to understand. I could complete that. People aren't going to understand, even if you go through the process of reading the rooms. What does effectiveness mean? What does that even mean? You know what I mean? So it's like, that is a much harder sell. But all a new player has to do, which I think a lot of people do when a new player doesn't understand a mechanic, is they just don't do it. Oh, I don't really know what that temple is. Oh, but I see this green abyss, or I see this purple breach. I'll just go do that. And I think they thought that the druid archetype was pretty cool. And I don't think they care as much about, oh my God, the veterans are like, I need to build as much effectiveness and rarity. And in order to do that, I have to snake around this way, and I can't touch the architect, and I have to spy master this or that. I feel like a lot of these things that are bringing people down are really for the more veteran players. So your original question, do I think this is like hurting the new player experience? I would say it hurts the veterans more.
It's
Fantastic
funny.
points.
It's funny that you say that. You're like, is this it might be a bad take, but I actually don't think it's a bad take at all, because everything you said was basically what I was thinking as you were going through that. Like, it really is like it's funny because for the breach tree, I actually was like, this is like a Path of Exile 2 mechanic put into Path of Exile 1. It's like a very Path of Exile 2-esque mechanic put put into Path of Exile 1 because it is pretty approachable, pretty easy to do, gives you a lot of rewards. And I think that is exactly what players experience, the veterans experience in Path of Exile 1. It's like, it's printing all these things that I took such a long time to figure out. And like, I potentially an entire league, I'm making all my money off of this mechanic that just gets kind of, trivialized by this system. And yeah, it really is like, if they don't know how to do it, they just don't touch it. And if you're a new player, right, in Path of Exile 1, there's so many things to do. So the whole problem of like the Breach League not having the most longevity doesn't really matter for a new player because they have so many other things to do. And it's kind of the same for Path of Exile 2 as well. It's like, you don't like the, you don't like the temple, or you don't understand it. You just have other things to do as well.
I do think though that there could be a way better job done when it comes to intuitiveness to some of these mechanics. Like just taking the temple as an example. I don't think every mechanic needs to be like Abyss, where it's this straightforward, where but at the same time, everyone said Abyss was so well received because of that, because the intuitiveness factor is just so high about the league mechanic, because it's like, oh damn, there's mob spawning out of the thing. And then I personally really enjoy the temple because it is I don't think convoluted is the right word, but like Rex earlier said, the puzzle aspect of it, that's what I enjoy so much about the temple. And I am 100% in the section of players that would even do the temple even if it wasn't this profitable, because I really like the aspect of going like, oh damn, oh yeah, I have to do this room now, and then I have to do this room, and maybe I can try this one out to get like maybe more experience out of my temple, or get like more of that. But I think in the end, yes, and I try, like, all of my content that I'm doing, and ever since I've been doing content for PoE2, I try to make my content as newer player friendly as possible. So a lot of people in my stream and in my YouTube comments and whatever, I wouldn't say that I have like 90% Giga Blaster type people in my stream or whatever, because I always try to be very new player friendly. And there's a lot of them that are just saying, yeah, I don't really have the time to invest here to get knowledgeable enough about the temple. But I think at the same time, a lot of people, if they actually had the introduction to the temple that I have had in a little bit of a more concise way, they would absolutely love it. And then at that point, it's kind of sad that they are not doing it, because it's such an awesome league mechanic. Someone made that. Jonathan said he himself handcrafted some of the code and everything. And then it's just sad that there's a part of the community that just doesn't engage with the mechanic because it seems too convoluted for them, or not intuitive enough. And so I think there can be a better job done in the future to maybe give the player a little bit more of an introduction into certain mechanics in a very concise and descriptive way.
Yep. Yeah. I think the big thing that people kind of misconstrue is that so they say that the temple is, if they don't want it to be watered down, right? They don't want it to be so easy to do that anybody could do it. But I think there's a big difference between complexity and depth versus like intuitiveness and how easy it is to understand. Like, I should not have to, and like there's a lot of mechanics in PoE 1 that are like this, but I think that PoE 2 has a kind of a different philosophy where they do want to have things that are easy to understand in general, and more friendly towards a newer player or a more casual player. I think that the thing that the temple needs is like, just something to make it so that when I play the game, I will understand it over time. It doesn't have to have everything explained to me, like this room definitely connects to this one, or like this will upgrade it to this, and here's the whole strategy. But at least, like, have things in the game that help guide me to learn it while I'm doing it, rather than a situation where it feels like no matter how many times I do it, I just won't be able to understand. And I think that is the biggest hurdle that they need to do with the temple. It's just, don't make it so overwhelming. Like, maybe it's like feed little bits and pieces to players, so it's like they learn more and more over time, as opposed to now where they don't really help you at all.
Yeah, so I think you make an important point, and this is brought up all the time. Like, I think they could have very simple things like just to get people started. When you drop your first medallion, like it brings up a little window. And by the way, it could be completely possible that this already happens, like because you just do it once and you blaze through it. But you pick up a medallion, it says these are really important for building your temple, and then you could show like one medallion, for example. Like this medallion locks a room. If you lock a room, it can't be destroyed. This is really important for protecting your most important rooms. And then, or just like it gives you little, it could even be in the form of goals. Like try to go kill the architect, build roads or build rooms that highlight green. It'll show that it connect to each other, and kill the architect and see what happens. And they have discussed this multiple times on their different interviews, how like you get to the end game and it's just, you're just thrown into this huge infinite abyss, and it says like complete a T1 map, now complete a T2 map, and that's like not very engaging. That's like really not up to grinding gear game standards, which I expect to be overhauled in the next patch that they have for the end game. But a lot of people like gatekeep. They're like, why would you tell them that the lock medallion is important, or to walk over to the architect? Like, let them figure it out. This is PoE. This isn't Diablo 4. It's like gatekeeping people entering the mechanic and enjoying the game. I don't think is a good strategy at all, and doesn't have to water down or downplay how complicated a mechanic can be. Just because you understand medallions are important, or just because there's a quest to go kill the architect to see what happens and some assistance with some hints on how to do that, is not going to prepare you for building a full uh, tech temple. You're still going to have to put in tons and tons of hours to figure it out anyway.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Rabbit, have you well, first, like Misa or Rax, did either of you start a new temple since the changes, the major changes recently, or have you just all in the old temple still?
Nope, I started a new one. I'm just building temples.
I'm an
And
Azeri
how's your
rusher.
experience? You're an Azuri Rush. I like your temple setups personally, me. So that's how I want to eventually optimize temples. Is something silly like you've got going on. Rex, how's your experience been with the changes now that you're starting brand new temples? Is it starting to feel better, or is it about the same as launch?
Well, it's very hard for me to accurately compare, because I've spent so much time. I pretty much just do the temple. I've spent so much time in it. It's hard to judge when you literally have no clue what you're doing. You have no strategy, but now you actually like have very very deliberate things. Let me give you an example. I walked into a brand new temple, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. The architect's in the wrong spot. I've got no rooms. And I need to move the architect to the dead center of the temple, the very dead center. So I just build a Y. I go up the middle, but not straight to the middle, and then I go to a Y, and then I connect to the architect. And within a few hours, I had moved her exactly to the middle. And people are like, "God, that's so aggravating, Rex," because I tried it for days. It's like it would have taken me days if I hadn't walked and blocked every other possible room for her to teleport to, like within that one tile range, to almost force her into the middle. And then you get much better at understanding, oh, like the golem works. If I upgrade them early, will give me the medallions that upgrade my rooms. And the upgraded rooms early on pay me more medallions. So I have more locks to lock the spy masters. And now I understand like how the spy masters assassinate each other much easier. So it's like you almost have it like you already know what you want before you walk up to the console, and then you stare at it and you usually don't get what you want, and then you try to manipulate it in a certain way where you can somehow make it work, and you do your reroll rooms in very specific inflection points in your temple, whereas you just randomly reroll, oh, these aren't the rooms I want, I'll just hit reroll now. It's much less efficient. So I think the way that the temple plays is pretty identical to the beginning of the league, because they reverted the lock change, which is by far the most important thing. Like the loot has gone down, but once you actually like spend a lot of time in the temples and figure out the strategies, you can actually manipulate it fairly decently to get what you want.
Gotcha. And Rabbit, what about your experience? You just did the private league. How has your experience been going with the new temple setup?
I'm at Siri rushing. I kind of ignore the temple in the private league because I have done what Rax just described. I have done from the very beginning already as well a little bit, and I was in the temple for like I think 2 weeks in the normal league. I did first of all on the normal league I started doing like a little bit of it Siri, and then I started building like the temple and everything, and then I built the temple on another character and done all of that. So in the private league, I was like, I'm not even like I'm not really chasing currency here or whatever, or I'm not going for that thing again. So right now, I'm just trying out something new, which is like a Siri rushing, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to get a Siri a lot of the times. And yesterday, for the first time, I was able to do it 2 times in a row, which was perfect. So basically,
Nice.
like it's Siri into Architect, of course, and then immediately next after into Siri. So 2 times Siri in 3 runs yesterday, and that was my personal like yes moment. I haven't I have done her 12 times now in the private league, and I've not gotten the body armor yet. So I'm a little bit mad, but we'll see. We will get there. We will get there in the end. No, I always just look for something new to do. It wasn't really that the temple got old to me, but it was just like it's, and I think most people will agree with this that are like the giga juicers in the temple or whatever. At at some point, dropping 40 divines every single temple run, yes, it does get old at some
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
So I was just looking, and I'm pretty sure we're never gonna get this again. So I was like, yeah, I'm already like my dopamine receptors can calm down now a little bit, and then we can go on again. So I'm just looking to do new stuff. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast too, I'm playing this private league basically a little bit like semi SSF. I'm teaching myself a little bit more about crafting, itemizing an armor character and everything. So yeah, temple is just a side note right now. I'm actually ritual farming, I think.
Same, actually.
After this podcast, I will probably just be ritual farming because that is um it's always like when there's a gold rush, you want to sell shovels. That's like
Yep.
that's my thing. And if everyone's in temple and divines keep inflating and everyone still wants to craft the GG items, what do they need? It's essences, it's ritual omens,
Omens.
and it's abyss currency. So I'm just gonna do ritual and abyss today. And no, I like it. I like it. It's exactly what Miso said a few weeks back about the whole temple debacle. It's exactly like Miso was just so spot on with that. I don't know, was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago when the first temple debacle just happened? Miso, like at that day, said, "Yo, stop worrying too much about it. Just do the stuff that you enjoy. Everything will inflate up, and you can make crazy currency with other stuff." And just yeah, I get it though. I get it how temple is fun for people. It's things, but for me, it just got old after 2 weeks, which is fine for me.
Sell the things that the temple runners want. Those things will be worth a lot because they can't get it and you can.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's cool that both of you guys have set up. Have you done much like a Ziri farming specifically, Rax? Because that's the thing I like about the temple, and we talk about a lot on this podcast. Is like you have so many different alternate farm methods for many of these different types of mechanics. Like Abyss, there's many ways you can farm it in a temple. You can do the snaking, and then you can do boss farming. We love how like there's just always multiple strats. Did you ever get deep into the Ziri farming?
Not at all. I have not killed at Ziri. I raced to
Oh,
the end game,
really?
started building my temple. I got to the architect. I was placing all the architect special rooms. I had the key down. I placed it in a bad spot by at Ziri. I had the connection to the key. Was walking over at Ziri, and people started spamming in my chat. Rax, you are such a noob, man. I'm like, what? Like you're killing at Ziri? That's noob shit. You're supposed to make a giant snake around the outside. I'm like, really? All right, well, we'll go kill it Siri later, and it's been a month. I still haven't bothered to walk over and kill her.
That's
You're not
so
missing anything
funny.
from the fight, though. You're not missing out from the fight, though.
No, you're missing out on something before the fight, though.
Okay.
Her robe,
This-
the details on the stitching are absolutely immaculate.
All right, we're
No,
gonna have
I'm
to go
not
check
kidding.
that out then.
The assets
I'm not
are
kidding.
great.
The boss arena is like I'm not kidding about this. The
It's a
boss
cool fight.
arena it's insanely good. I'm so sad that they made her like this weak, to be honest. Um because even on my shitty crossbow Titan build, I'm now killing her in like 3 seconds with Requiem. But the boss arena, the design, her voice lines, I just wish they made her a little bit more that you actually notice all of that, because it's amazing once again. And we sing praises about the design team and on GGG, especially for PoE2 all the time, but I can just say it again. As a Diablo 2 diehard, mainly because of the
Mentioned.
vibe. No, I mentioned Diablo 2, I think, at the beginning of the podcast. Rex probably doesn't know. It's a meme on this podcast. We can't go a full podcast without me mentioning Diablo 2. So
It's a
there we
good
go.
rule.
Um,
Yeah, it's good.
it's not possible. And mainly because why I love to this day Diablo 2 so much is it's the vibe, and PoE2 just catches that so perfectly. I love the dark, grim, everything. It's perfect.
We'll go kill her one of these days for sure.
Well, just in though, Hotfix 26, I think nerfed Atziri rushing, unfortunately.
Like a
Because
brand new
there's
patch right now.
Yeah, because there's a thing that I don't know if you're using it, but for the architect or any of the rooms, like the access chamber, right? You can connect a room to that room, and you don't have to do the room requirement, right? Because if you go directly from the path, you have to be like, oh, you got to clear like 20 rooms before you can actually access this.
Oh, right.
But if you connect a room like an alchemy lab to the room itself, you can clear the alchemy lab and go into the architect chamber or whatever without
I wasn't doing that
requirement. So you can't do that anymore. So it kind of nerfs the strat a little bit. And I don't know how you were doing your strategy of like isolating where the architect can appear. You weren't doing that at all.
No, I'm just doing the bait rooms on the side, like the architect rooms on the side, so there's a higher chance for the royal access chamber in the middle, like not on the full
Yeah.
sides. That's
So if you
all
put
I'm
down
doing.
too many, you're talking about the bait rooms like the ones you get after you kill the architect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more bait rooms you put down, if you connect to them at some point on accident, you have to run those. It increases the amount
Okay.
of rooms you need to do. So if you
I mean,
accidentally do
I
that,
think
that's gonna
that's fine.
you're like forced to run the bait
Like I
rooms.
said, I'm like I said, I'm vibing. I'm just like this league. I'm just going. I place rooms like I just do this and place some
In the
rooms,
tail on the
and
donkey.
then yeah, and then I go to Atziri. I go I think it's like a cool moment for the stream every single time you click the Atziri thing, because it's could always. I had like a triple divine drop yesterday from clicking on the thing, and everyone was, oh my god! So it's a cool moment.
I mean, hey, I hit the jackpot, the 300% ES at Zeri robe.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I blew it up.
I saw that. Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
Did you fail the double corrupt?
No, I mean, yeah,
Yep.
I failed the initial corrupt and the double corrupt. It blew up.
Right.
Oof.
Big rip.
Yeah.
Well, before we start wrapping up here, Rax, for the build making perspective, as we go into 0.5, I guess, which would be, I don't know, like 4 months from now, what do you want to see changing about build making going into that patch? Because right now I feel like build making feels pretty good. We've got the instant weapon swap and being able to stack support gems across different skills. Those really leveled up build making for us. But what do you think is missing right now?
Probably, well, the thing that people keep streaming for in terms of build making is just a lot of people are missing like the swords, like the different archetypes that people want to play righteous fire, people want to play swords. That's one thing. Probably the biggest thing for me is one of the things that we talked about earlier. I think some of the mechanics, well, nearly every mechanic that grinding gear games has is solvable in the end game. Like I meme all the time on my stream. Everyone in my chat will say that any build is so powerful. It's like, yeah, guys, every build is so powerful if you put 500 divines in it. A 500 divine build of auto attacking can clear the game. Like the separator for me is how does it perform the entire way through. And some of the mechanics that we've talked about, like the remnants, and for me earlier, which I think they've fixed this now, but like an example is like the reloading on the crossbow or something like that, or how unbelievably slow like the warrior is with like the kiss curse mechanics in that side of the tree. I would like to see some of those things, some of those like recurring problems that we keep talking about still being looked at. I'd like to see them expand crafting more. That might help with build making as well. I thought Abyss was a huge step forward for crafting, but a lot of it is just like, you perfect aug, and then you essence, and then you try to hit the desecration, da 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 da. It'll be cool when they have more options like PoE1. It's like the ocean for how many different ways there are to craft something. It's things like that that I'll be looking for in the next league the most.
Cool. Any thoughts, guys, before we move on to build of the week?
I mean, I don't know if we covered it or did we want to cover it. 328 timing.
Oh yeah, sure. We can talk about that. We can go more depth into that for sure. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, we got patch 3.28. It was announced for early March, I believe, is what they said, which is I think later than everyone had suspected. I think we were expecting it felt like they rushed out the Pee-wee 2 league. I think the gap between this Pee-wee 2 league and Pee-wee 1 league was shorter, so it felt like they. Yeah, it was 1 month, so it felt like we weren't going to. It was going to be like, I think early February is what people were predicting, and people weren't expecting early March.
Well, it came out on the 31st of October, so the Pee-wee 1 league. So it would be October to November, December, January, February. So February 31st / beginning of March isn't like it's basically 4 months.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But yeah, thoughts, Miso?
I mean, I really wanted to get Rax's take on this as well, because I was watching a Connor video, a 1 mana left video, and he was talking about how, we're basically getting, and I think part of it is a streamer problem too. He's like, oh, we're getting 1 month of PoE, and then directly after that month, everybody rushes over to PoE 2 for 3 months. And where he thinks that it should be the opposite, where it's like PoE 1 is the one game with a ton of content, so you should give that one a lot more time, and then you should give that one 3 months, and then between PoE 1 and PoE 2, or PoE 2 and PoE 1, have that be a 1 month thing. I don't know. It just feels like, do we think that Grinding Gear game is going to hold tight on this like 4 month thing, or do we think that it's gonna be a situation where maybe one league is delayed a little bit, or like, early a little bit, that way we get back the 2 months in between the two leagues or the two games? Because I can't imagine it being a very good experience either for Grinding Gear games to have a month between PoE 1 and PoE 2 to start working. Like, I'm sure they're starting to work on PoE 2 stuff much earlier, but like having that month to like crunch between PoE 1 and PoE 2 is also really tough as well. Like, I don't know. The timeline stuff seems very iffy, but in my opinion, and a lot of people apparently have been talking about this, that they should just have like a Pharesia league to kind of help reset that clock timer, to make it so that they have a much more manageable schedule. I don't know what you think, Rax.
So first of all, I love Connor. Connor is amazing. I chat with him all the time. He lives 1 state away from me. We're the Corn Boys. He's in Iowa. I'm in Nebraska. So love Connor. Um, I actually think about this in a different way. I zoom out. I'm just looking from the sky here. I don't really care about my own personal thing. I don't pretend to know Grinding Gear Games' internal plan. Like, it does not immediately follow for me that if PoE 1 releases in March, that PoE 2 must launch in April. Like that is not a foregone conclusion for me until they officially announce it. I have a very simple take here. I think the last year for Grinding Gear Games, as we talked about earlier, has been unimaginably stressful. I feel that it's palpable through the interviews and through the different campfires or whatever they're called. I feel like what we're currently doing is not allowing Grinding Gear Games to deliver on the quality they are capable of delivering at. and I think it's fatiguing them, and it's fatiguing at least the PoE veterans, but I think new players are having an impact as well. I am actually glad to hear it looks like there's a little bit more of a timeline before we're going to get PoE 1, because I think the number one variable, the piece of the Jenga tower that will solve all the problems, is if grinding your games is feeling good about delivering both games on whatever time schedule or whatever capacity they can, and they can deliver stuff at their quality level. If that means building in an extra month of time into each of them, or if it means doing like this weird thing where PoE 1 and PoE 2, maybe they aren't directly connected. Like Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 do the same thing. Diablo 3 launches pretty close to a Diablo 4 season because they don't think people are going to play D3 for that long. I Even though I like PoE 1 better, I don't think that the future of grinding your games will ever be to allocate more time to PoE 1 just logically or financially. I think if anything, it will be less time for PoE 1 month, more time for PoE 2. Even though I like PoE 1 better, that doesn't bother me too much because 1 month is kind of an eternity for ARPGs, right? If you're blasting for an entire month, that's more than most people do. So when I hear this news, like my conclusion is I, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Like if they're going with a new strategy, if they had an internal meeting and they're making some changes that's going to help out grinding your games, I think that trickles down and helps us all out tremendously.
I kind of couldn't agree more with that, because at the same because my first thought when already this happened the last time around, I think PoE 1 most recent league released, like we said, October 31st, and then we had this league release in December 12th, I think. So that makes it around 42 days or something for a PoE 1 league. I once again, also as speaking as someone who plays both games, or is able to play both games at a rate that is most likely a little bit higher than for a lot of people playing those. So it's a little bit disconnected, most likely, from what people are really experiencing. But my whole thing, and I said this last time, is like no one's forcing you to play either game. If you want to play PoE 1 for 4 months, you can do that. If you want to play PoE 2 for 4 months, you can do that. I have mainly focused over the last year, completely focused on PoE 2, mainly due to being a content creator in the game and like specializing on the game and whatever. And I still don't feel like I'm being pushed into doing anything. I get the whole thing. I fully realize that, and I fully understand that people are very, very connected to PoE 1, and that it is an amazing game. I say this all the time, even as a PoE 2 main. PoE 1 is still the best ARPG on the market right now. I'm even including like Diablo 2 Resurrection. That it is by far the best ARPG like anyone has ever done, basically. But yeah, if you enjoy the league, and even if PoE 2 is coming out, no one is stopping you. You don't have, especially if you're not a content creator or whatever. But even if you are a content creator, no one is forcing you to play PoE 2 just because it releases. Especially if you then say like, "Oh, this is so shitty." I never got that whole notion of oh, it's just 42 days for the league now. Yeah, you can keep playing. I think and to the point of Rex, it's like, yeah, it's the situation that we're in now. Hopefully, it gets better in the future, and they can actually manage to give both games what the players want out of them. But it's a hard task. It's a hard task. I think there were, they didn't. I don't know if they didn't expect this, or if this is the right wording to say that they didn't expect this, but they definitely are in a situation where I think if they would have drawn it up like a year ago or something, I think they would have planned it a little bit differently. So but it's the situation we're in now. And one thing, and the last thing we say on this podcast all the time, we are incredibly spoiled. We are incredibly spoiled. We have a company making 2 games that are the best in the genre
Yeah.
at the same time. And you just get to play both if you want to. Every like in a cycle. So we are so spoiled, and yeah, that's it.
And just to like wrap like everyone's points up, I work I'm an indie game developer, so like I have that perspective. Like I'm always like gonna be favorable to GGG. Miso and I said it when they announced that they were going to be doing this 2-month cycle. Like the moment they announced it, we thought they were nuts. It was like it seemed like there was no way they're going to pull it off, and like it just seems like they are stressed. It's going to take time to iron out. Every time you hear Jonathan say that like there's still a core group of people that are the main decision makers for both games, and they have to, like right now they're still bouncing between those 5 to 7 guys, like having to deliver on a product, a crunch line every 2 months of like this magnitude. Just the amount of stress, I couldn't even imagine doing that like for 2 massive live service games. I just give them a pass for now until it stabilizes, and then I'll be more hypercritical of like these like awkward periods. But I understand like everyone's points. Rax said that from a financial perspective, like it doesn't matter. I will say I believe that Mark and Jonathan and their crew, they love both PoE 1 and PoE 2 equally, but the new baby has to be prioritized a little bit more when the 10-year-olds already can brush his own teeth and stuff. Like this new baby needs a little bit more love. So I don't fully agree with the point that like the game that's already solidified needs the 3 months versus the 1 month. I definitely think it's the reverse. Like this is the one that has to be fleshed out more, so it needs a little bit more time. I do think if they can pull off the 2-month cycle, they should absolutely go for that. But it definitely feels like they jumped the gun a little bit too soon on that, or they just, again, like everyone just said, they didn't underestimate how much of an undertaking this was going to be to manage both games. Especially like when you have like holidays and stuff that will throw off the development timeline and stuff. Like if you're committed to a 2-month work cycle for each game, but one of those like sections of that year gets interrupted where you can't work for 2 to 3 weeks over the Christmas holidays, that one league is going to get a little bit extra development time, and that's what we're going into the PoE 1 league. Like it's just. They're nuts, man. That's all I have to say is they're nuts for trying this. And if anyone's gonna pull it off, though, it is these guys. So. Sorry, that was just my little rant there. I don't know. It's crazy what they're doing.
Good points.
All right, well, thanks for coming on, Rax. Let's dive into build of the week. Miso and I, we have builds. Did you not have one, Rabbit? Of course not. Asta didn't post anything new. Asta didn't post anything new. I am bringing back another veteran, Pigman. Pigman is someone who's been on. I think this is the 3rd time, and I think we actually showcased him 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Wait. So
What?
you took the build that you can't shit on me for not having a build of the week and then take the one I showcased last week, the teaser.
Did you showcase this one last week? He uploaded this today.
He did. He
showcased.
I said last week. Oh,
so
wow.
Pigman had this build, but it wasn't like completed yet.
Oh
Yes.
my god. Oh
I was
my
just,
god. I was just
I was
shit
just
talking
so
Rabbit
fast.
for no reason. Listen, the Prada episode was
I'm
such a
off.
blur. It was a 3-hour long podcast, man. I can't remember what happened at the end of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine. I'm back. It's fine.
Well, you know what, Pigman, you deserved it back to back because this looks sick. You got Uber Arbiter down with the build. It looks awesome. I completely forgot you
want to
showcased
explain
this.
it?
I know we showcased Pigman this week, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should go double check to see what we showcased for him. I thought we showcased the bleed build for him, but I guess it was.
That was last league.
Yep.
Oh, that was last league, right? Yeah, I just had a complete brain fart. It's a sick build, though. I mean, he's using Mjolnir with Oracle. He's using the Oracle Inevitable Crit. Resonating Shield's great for that. He's using Acquire of the Storm Tech to help with single target. That's just helping nuke these bosses. It's really cooked. Obviously, it's a Vertex build. Vertex builds can do just about anything, but That's so funny that I cannot believe this is the exact same build you just showcased. Complete brain fart. Oh
Yeah.
well, Pig.
No,
You deserve it, man.
I just showcased the teaser. It wasn't even a completed build. I just showcased the 2-minute teaser of him mapping on the build, and it wasn't even
Yeah, the boss damage is sick now.
Those chunks are insane.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's I'm always like I'm a big Mjolnir fan because it was like a little bit my claim to questionable fame when GGG showcased the Mjolnir build that I did once. So I'm always very fond of any Mjolnir build. So, and this is probably the best one I've seen since they kind of nuked mine. So it's since I got the old showcase treatment of showcasing the build and then killing it in the next patch. So this is probably the best one yet.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's not doing the same text of like ball lightning or comet, and like or it's a very
Yeah.
different take on the Mjolnir style. And I mean, look at this damage. He's dumping on Arbiter. It is
Yeah,
cool.
Falling Nova is I would still say like severely underrated. I'm still very surprised I don't see more people using Falling Nova because it's an insane
Falling Thunder.
the
or
power
what?
charges one. Falling Thunder, yeah, falling.
Well, I don't
it's
think this
just
is Falling
Nova.
Thunder though. I think this is just Arc or Arc with Nova, right?
Yeah,
Or
he's
not
doing
Arc,
Nebelok
Arc with
tech.
Wild Shards.
He's doing
Is it not?
Nebelok weapon
Wasn't he
swap.
using Falling?
No, that's not
Wasn't
Falling
he using
Thunder.
Falling Thunder before?
No, Falling Thunder is a
don't think
quarter
so.
staff skill.
Oh,
I
it's
was gonna say,
quarter. Okay.
I thought it was monk.
What the-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, this
Falling
is
Thunder
just
is a
this
quarter.
is just
This is
shield
just-
wall
I'm
with
never-
with a
Cast
cast.
I'm
on.
never.
Yeah.
I'm never waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning ever again. Okay,
No,
it's,
you're
it's
good,
Arc
dude.
with Nova projectiles. Oh,
It's okay. We
There we
both
go.
have brain farts. No, yeah, this is cool though. Yeah, he does Nebelok weapon swap. Like I think Nebelok weapon swaps have been in since 0.1 for the endurance charge burst. And yeah, it's just a sick setup. That's so funny. And I just completely, I literally thought like I think we just showcased Pigman 2 weeks ago, but this build looks really awesome. So we'll showcase them again. It's literally the exact same build. Legend status.
Yep.
It's cool though.
My build, on the other hand, is a little bit different, though it is kind of samey. This is my boy Gia, as always. Love this guy's build. Another Ember Fusillade build, kind of very similar to what I showcased in 0.3, but this time he has brought in a cast on X linked with Arc instead of, I think lastly goes Frost Darts, but it has significantly increased the single target damaging capability of this build since last league. But basically, the idea behind it is Ember Fusillade, and then he does a quick weapon swap before the Ember Fusillade projectiles go out into a Widow Hail setup to get the projectile speed up for the Ember Fusillades and Arc, and blows up the entire screen. What more can I say? It's a really cool cast on X setup with I don't know, I feel like Ember Fusillade is a very interesting skill because I think there's some cool builds for it every single league, but it still ends up being a pretty underused ability in my opinion. It's definitely never meta, but it's very strong.
So is he using projectile acceleration 3 and then swapping for the damage amp, or just for the additional projectile speed?
I'm actually not sure about that setup, whether he does it or not. I would assume he probably does because that's a really good way to amplify your damage.
With Widow Hail for sure, yeah.
Yeah, with Widow Hail and a quiver. So yeah.
Yeah, you can get up to 400% quiver bonus, and if like he's using that with because projectile acceleration 3 increases your damage based off of your your projectile speed. So if you could get you can get some really juiced projectile speed on quivers, and if he's doing that, the damage amp, that's a like I didn't think about how you could preload the Fusillades and like they're just sitting there, but they're not snapshotted at the previous damage. So you go to the new set and they just get that's a super slick tech. Like that's cool. I don't know if people have been doing that before, but I like that.
Do we know how is he manually weapon swapping or is he weapon swapping with another skill?
He's weapon swapping with what is it? The whatever Tempest or whatever the little thing he's placed like a little cloud under your feet.
The mana cloud. Yeah, I see it clicking right. The mana Tempest that it gives your spells like 79% more or gain damage or lightning is lightning or something.
Yeah, exactly. Mana Tempest or whatever it's called. So he uses that every single time
setup.
he uses swap, which buffs his damage on top of letting him swap the weapon set.
So the
And-
damage buff is the nuke to switch it over and make it do insane
Exactly.
damage. That's beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
slick. That is a slick engine you got there, Gia.
Mm-hmm. Big fan of the guy. If you couldn't tell, I talk a
we
lot of his builds
showcase
all
him
the
every
time.
league for a reason.
Yep.
No, that's cool. Yeah, man, I didn't realize that. Yeah, because usually that kind of stuff would snapshot, but I guess Ember Fuselae just isn't snapshotting until it gets whatever buffs it has whenever it goes off. So that's a really smart tech.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff, man. I love
As
that
always.
shit.
He just two-shot T3 Zest, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, this is crazy damage. Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Way to go,
And it's
Gia.
Black Flame. Black
Hmm?
Flame always it's Black
Yeah.
Flame, right?
Yeah,
Since
the node keystone.
always
Black
like
Flame Covenant
even-
or something.
Yep.
yeah. And it's just as soon as everything just is purple flames is just the most style points you can get in this game.
It's so cool. It was one of the best
It's-
like keystones they added last league for sure.
Yeah. Just by like it could do nothing, and it's basically a free MTX. There you go. It's like yeah, make your flames purple. There you go. Don't even need to buy the skill MTX for $19.
Man,
There
this
you
is
go.
a flashy build. Gia
It's
always
really
always delivers.
flashy.
This
I
is
love
really
this
cool.
stuff. Mhm.
Like even the boss dying just looks like fantastical. Like watch this guy just explode. It's so cool looking.
Yep.
I think
dead.
that just looks sick. That just looks so cool. Gia cooked here, man.
Yep.
Well done.
Kaltrak about to do
My
his
boy.
10th build of the league.
I'm not tired. Let's keep blasting.
Yeah, I'm having fun with PoE too. Yeah, but this is a
PoE
cool
too.
build.
1 month. We're 1 month in. People
Yeah.
are like talking about burnout. From
I still
League
want
and
to keep
whatever.
playing
I'm
more,
not-
man.
Yes,
Same.
I am not burned out at all. I have like 3-4 builds in the pipeline. I'm like, oh, I should give HCSSF another look. I even like maybe normal SSF. I'm not burned out at all. I'm having a blast, and I can't wait for more. I can't even imagine what this game will look like in a few years. It's gonna be very fun.
That's where I'm at. Like I just like when I'm done with the league, like I immediately want to just go into solo self-found or hardcore. Like I ain't burned out on PoE 2 at all right now. Ooh,
Oh,
lost
Rabbit's
rabbit
gone.
there. Well, thanks for coming on, Rax. It was a pleasure. We would love to get you back on for future leagues because it's nice to just have like positive conversations about build making. Yeah, it was cool to have you on, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure. I think you guys have a great podcast. I wish you guys great fortune and great success with it. I think you guys are doing amazing work here. I love the build showcase at the end too. Really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally in the pitch for the podcast. Like when we were talking to each other with Mobalytics and stuff, it was very early on. Yeah, we wanted to showcase community builds because it's very nervous when you're making your own build, especially like I don't want to say gatekeepy, but like there's a lot of words that are like just you should follow a build. You should never like go into it blind, which you should your very first time you should, but at some point you gotta take that risk of making your own build, and we just want to spread that enjoyment for sure.
Completely agree, man. You guys are doing God's work. I love it.
Thank
Well,
you, thank
any
you.
shout outs? We'll get your plant build link down below. Shout outs for where the community can follow you and watch you.
Just type in R and A and then a lot of X's. I'll probably come up. I have the dumbest name ever. No, twitch.tv/Raxxanterax, same link for YouTube. I make guides for usually new players. I usually don't take builds up to the mirror tier. I usually just make a new build, but try to make builds for that anybody can play almost every time. Just make guides on different things and recaps. That's what I do around here.
Well, hell yeah, we'll get you stuff linked down below. Obviously, people probably know who you are, but yep. Thanks for coming on. Rabbit looks like his Discord is dead. He cannot reconnect, so we'll just finish up these shoutouts. Miso, go ahead and take it away.
You can't quite see me because Rabbit ruined everything, but twitch.tv/MisoXshiru, which is where you're on right now. YouTube.com/MisoXshiru, which if you're watching the VOD, that's where you're listening to this. And yeah, stream every single night. Come hang out. It's a good time.
Well, thanks to you guys for hanging out. Again, one last shout out to Rax and the community for hanging out in the chat. Happy New Year to everybody. Try and spread that cheer and positivity going into 2026. It's a crazy world out there, and we're just very spoiled and lucky to be grinding gear Path of Exile gamers. So let's just let's treat this year as an awesome time, and let's have a good time. Bye, everybody. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
GG's, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rax, man.
Thank you, Rax.